There's an old racing saying that if you feel in control, you're not going fast enough.
I don't want to grow up, but I'm already there. I don't want to give in, I don't want to care, but I take it all in with all my passion. I don't want to grow up, but I just lie. I like being here. I want to stand tall on the highest mountain. I want to see all my friends. I want to breathe fresh air. Yeah, I want to say you at the high and the lowest. I don't want to grow up, but I just lie. I like being here. All my songs are about killing myself. It's not that I am someone else. Sometimes I just want to be free from me. And all my songs are about ending it all, to watch the world just burn and fall.
I just love the feeling of gravity on my body, going down the hills, going faster, going faster. Street luge has been described as the poor man's auto racing. All the same principles apply. It's drafting, braking, maintaining momentum through the corners. All those things apply to luge almost more than car racing because we don't have an engine. You don't feel like you're controlling your body. It feels like your body is just doing what you've trained it to do over years, and it's just, you know, there's a curve there, so your body naturally does it.
No pop, no war, industrial. This is fun, but there is no goal. This is fun, but there is no goal. Not counting anymore. This is fun, but no goal. This is fun, but there is no goal. Not counting anymore. This is fun, but no goal.
I've always loved going down hills. Like as a kid, you know, I was the first one on the toboggan hill in the morning, and I was the last one to leave at night.
Go fast this time.
I first saw it in the summer of 1997 with the 97 X Games. A couple of my friends who knew I was big into the Olympics and sports in general told me, "Oh, Kolby, you need to watch this thing called the X Games. It's, you know, it's the Olympics, but for sports like we like skateboarding and biking and rollerblading and stuff like that. You gotta watch it." And the first thing that came on was street luge. They pushed off and they laid down, and after about 5 seconds or 2 or 3 seconds of them laying down, in my head it clicked. I'm like, that's mine. That's what I'm doing. And I went outside and found my old skateboard, and I took that and drilled a couple old downhill skis to the top of it without bindings, and that was my first luge. After high school, all of us went our separate ways. You know, everyone went off to college and that, and we kind of stopped doing it for a couple years. But in the meantime, I wanted to keep into it. All of a sudden, on eBay, Rogers Brothers pegged street luge came up for sale with no reserve. So it was like $100 for this professionally made board that had raced at the Red Bull jumping competition and the X Games and the Gravity Games. And I was like, there's no way I'm not winning this. So after I got that, I kind of said, well, I need to now that I have this, I'm going to go faster, I need the next level. So I found a pair of leathers for $50 on eBay, and I already had a helmet and made up my own shoes, and that's kind of how I started progressing. We started riding on real roads, and first time we rode on the Rogers Brothers board as opposed to our homemade ones, we're like, oh, okay, this is how it's supposed to feel like. This thing feels amazing. My first race that I ever did was in 2006. It was in Bainbridge, Ohio at the Demons of Downhill race, and I showed up to the hill, and you know, I thought I'd seen hills before, and I thought I had an idea of what we're going to. And back then there was very limited internet, not a whole lot of video. So we were kind of going into it cold, not really knowing what we were getting ourselves into. When we got there, we took one look at the hill and we saw where the hay was set up. And we were like, that's not the hill, is it? Like, we're actually riding down that? So it was very intimidating the first time we went to Bainbridge. I had done qualifying and I was way down the order, like how you would expect a raw rookie to coming in against all these world champions. My very first heat was against David Dean, who had won the world championship the year before. And I'm sitting there on the line against David Dean and I'm just like, oh my goodness, what have I got myself into? It would be like a minor hockey player all of a sudden being dropped into a hockey game against Sidney Crosby. It's just not fair. I went into the first corner. I don't know if in the back of my mind maybe it's my competitive spirit, but I went in so fast in the first corner that I crashed. So I lost my very first heat. But I think that's a good way to learn, is if you ride with people who are better than you, you pick up on their habits and you're able to improve yourself. I was able in 2009 go to Europe for the first time. And we had, at this point, me and my friend Will had raced a few years and we thought we were pretty good, but we got a sobering experience when we went to the first race in France where we qualified 28th and 29th or so. And it was like, oh, okay, we have some work to do. We knew we wouldn't be winning the race, but we didn't think we would be that far down the order. We thought we were a little better than that. So by 2015, I went back to Europe again, and I've been going every year since. And I've modeled my whole career and lifestyle around being able to do this. For racing purposes, our typical speeds are above 100 kilometers an hour. Some tracks we hit about 120 to 130. And the world record speed for luge right now is 164. My top speed that I hit this year was 154 kilometers an hour, which I've never even done that fast in a car before. And it's very hard to wrap your head around that kind of speed because you don't do it on a daily basis. Your brain really can't compute it because it has nothing to compare it to. The only time that you notice speed is during an accident. Everything else kind of feels like a blur, and you're only relative to the people around you. So you are concentrating on them and not necessarily the scenery flying by. So speed is only something that happens when you're having an accident, and where you all of a sudden realize, like, oh, okay, I'm going very fast and I'm sliding along the ground.
Yeah.
We all know the stakes of what we're doing. We've all seen injuries. We've all seen people crash, just on their own volition and break bones and such. So we all know the risks involved, and we all understand that, if we all race hard but race fair and race safely, we all go home Sunday night and go back to work Monday and be able to make money so we can come back to more races. At first, it was the going fast and the love of speed and racing, because, from the early age, I wanted to be, IndyCar driver, racing, and I would watch these races, and I would get to travel all over to these places and get to compete in the circuit. And it seemed like everybody at the races, they were all pretty good friends, and there was very much a camaraderie between people who were doing something dangerous. I think the more dangerous the activity, the closer the bond becomes. Saturday was just a bad day. Like, just people were getting hurt. It's not like the conditions were hard. It was just very strange. The Sunday, everyone was very worried because it rained all night long, and the Sunday the road was very patchy, which, if anybody who knows anything about downhill, is the most dangerous of conditions because it's wet and dry, and you don't get the natural slowdown that the rain in front of your wheels gets because it's just kind of slick. So everyone was very, very worried about even more injuries on the Sunday. We drew for lane choice, and I happened to get the inside lane, which is the ideal position. And David Dean, he got the outside lane, same person who I'd raced against, 11 years earlier in my very first heat. Well, we pushed off equally since I had kept my rain wheels on, which was something that David didn't because he didn't think he would need them. Fortunately, I was able to get out in front, and I was able to do just enough to brake just enough to get through the chicane really fast, and I went fast enough that it forced David to go faster than I think he probably wanted to, and he slid out a bit, and I was able to, from there, take the victory. So it was big. I was very happy. My podium moment, and then just head on home.
How does it feel to do this?
Hit me in my armpit.
Okay, strong words from a strong head of a helmet.